Well, I know this is probably not on anybody's charts, but the seeing the aurora borealis is a very big story that nobody has been talking about. Everybody's like, oh, look at the sky. It's so pretty. Yeah, sure. But why is it pretty? Why is that happening? This is the first time in 20 years that we have seen the aurora borealis as low and as south as possible, or as it was. But we had an event, and I talked about it in our meetings, Stu, last, I think, Monday, a week ago Monday. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy, and I said, there's a huge CME that just happened. There's a huge solar flare that just happened. And luckily, it was on the side of the sun, but it was coming our direction, but not directly. It was the biggest solar flare since the Carrington event in, 1860 or whatever?
Yeah, 1860, I'm sure. The Carrington event you're talking about? That's 1860.
Mm-hmm. How many times have we talked about the Carrington event?
Come on, you know what the Carrington event is.
We're all over the Carrington event.
Shut up,
well, Pat just started a new podcast called Pat and the Carrington Event.
Yeah.
It's
Pat, wait a minute. I'm trying to look. I can barely see through my eyes, but are you wearing I'm a fan of the Carrington event t-shirt?
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Carrington
as I
event.
usually do. Yeah. I do have it in different colors.
Right.
But
all right.
Yeah.
Available at patsajerk.com. So the Carrington event happened in the 60s, and we were hit by a massive solar flare. And at the time, the only, we didn't really have electricity or anything, but we had telegraphs. And the telegraph wire all over the country burned up. I mean, literally started on fire. From the telegraph all the way through all of the poles, it just burned out. Mm-hmm. And that is, a significant problem with today's electricity and all of our wires. That could have been a blackout situation, an EMP. We dodged the bullet. It could have shut down power companies and power lines all over the country, all over Europe as well, for at least a year. The problem we have is all of our power transformers, it takes them, I think it's a year to build and to replace giant transformers, and we don't have extras. Nobody's thinking about this stuff.
And we haven't protected our infrastructure.
No. And it would be very inexpensive.
Yes.
Brett Weinstein wrote a great article on this last week about, he was kind of making fun of, how everybody was saying, oh, look at the beautiful sky that's going to happen next week. Yeah. And he's like, it would take so little to protect our infrastructure, and nothing is protected. We really dodged a bullet.
Well, this is a few years ago, but they were talking about not just a solar EMP, but an EMP from, a foreign adversary, and how we could protect our infrastructure from it for, it seems like it was only $1 billion. I don't know.
I think it's under $5 billion.
Yeah, it's dirt cheap in comparison to what we would lose if it actually happened. They won't do it.
It's one of those low probability, high, what do they call those things?
High impact.
Yeah, high impact. Mm-hmm. This impact, if we were hit by an EMP, and it takes 3 nuclear weapons launched into space, Iran could probably do it, when they get their missiles.
North Korea. Yep.
North Korea. All you have to do is put 2 barges, one on the East Coast and West Coast. You fire 2 on one. One goes over the middle of America. One goes over the West Coast. Then you have a boat on the East Coast. It takes 3 missiles detonated at the right altitude above America. You'd shut us down, and in the first year, 95% of our population would die.
Yeah, because we're back to the cave time.
Stone Age.
Well, yeah, it's You don't have refrigeration. You don't have transportation.
And you cannot repair it fast enough because we didn't protect anything. This is one of the craziest things. Congress, you're spending money on so much. A turtle tunnel. Spend $5 billion to protect the infrastructure.
Doesn't make sense not to.
No, it doesn't.
Seems like one of the basic things that government is designed to do, right? Like,
Yes. Yes.
They're not. There's a lot of things they're doing that they're not supposed to do. Wouldn't this be something that falls in the category of
Yes.
must do?
Yes.
And how often do they talk about infrastructure?
know.
We've got crumbling roads and bridges.
Right.
We've got electronics that could be protected, and they're not being protected.
Do you know that this solar event could have knocked out all of Elon Musk's satellites? They were afraid of those, and all of our GPS.
Jeez.
Do you know what would happen if we lost all of our GPS?
Be a mess.
So the GPS, our magnetic field is so far awry right now that it's at about a 30 degree switch. And so it's drifted about 30 degrees. Okay, so it's not up at the pole and at the top and the bottom. It's 30 degrees off. And because of that, it's causing all kinds of holes and thinning of our ionosphere. So, all of this stuff can come through. We have such a problem with it. It's moving so rapidly. We used to have to adjust our GPS. I think it was every 5 years. Then it was every 2 years. And because our poles are shifting, it was then a year. It's now every 6 months we have to reset our GPS satellites. The poles are moving that rapidly.